Hey guys, it's Frank with Frank Talks. About a year ago, I made a video on setting goals and setting New Year's goals instead of New Year's resolutions. This is a topic that I've become famous for, especially among my real life friends. Real life friends. Um, and this year, I want to talk a little bit more about that. Um, so I've been doing this for about 6 or 7 years. It's a little hard to track. Uh, Setting goals in the beginning of the year instead of resolutions, and then keeping them throughout the year. I've been doing this for 6 or 7 years, um, and but that doesn't come without its share of failure. And I'm going to be vulnerable with you guys here today. Um, this past year, 2017, was not a good year for me as far as goal setting goes. In fact, it was really bad, and I'll tell you how bad it was. It was so bad that I did not keep a single one of the goals that I set, a single one of the annual goals that I set for 2017. I set some of the weekly. I set annual goals, and then I break them down into monthly goals and weekly goals, and I kept some of the monthly goals, some of the weekly goals, but all of the annual goals that I set, I failed, and that had a really big impact on me, and just it made me depressed through the whole year. And I want to be able to evaluate what I did wrong and share it with you guys, so that you guys don't have to make the same mistakes as I do. Um, so let's see. Without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so all right, so here we go. So here's the goals that I set for 2017, and here are the goals that I set for 2018. And I set them in 6 different areas. If you watch my previous video on goal setting, you'll see that I talk a little bit more about that. Let's see. So right here, I wrote down the spiritual area, and I wrote down a little note with that: live above the clouds. I won't go into explaining what that means, but it's a phrase that someone said in a sermon. It really struck me, so I wrote this down to remember that, and to remember to do that. So one of my goals for 2018 was to talk to God every morning. It's a really great goal. It's a really noble goal, but there's a problem with that goal. One of the problems is that I set an annual goal to do something every day, and when you do that, you're setting yourself up for failure. Now, it's a good thing to want to pray every day, but what happens if you miss one day? You should be tracking your goals, and I usually have another column right next to this one, to track the percentage of that goal that I reached. So the percentage of days that I prayed in the morning. Let's see. So what happens when I miss just one day? So that when I miss just one day, that goes from being a goal that I could reach 100% to being a goal where I reach only 99%. I've already failed in my own mind. And then you go down a slippery slope. I see I already missed one day, so it's not such a big deal if I miss another day. And so that's how you're setting yourself up for failure if you set an annual goal that is an everyday goal. Every day I'm going to do this. The better thing for you to do is to, if you want to set a goal to pray every day, it would be to set a goal like that as a weekly goal. Or even a monthly goal. Even that's kind of stretching it just a little bit, and then just reset that goal every week, so that way it doesn't. If you miss one day that week, it doesn't harm your psyche for the rest of the year. You just restart again the next week. Let's see. So annual goals every day, setting for okay, so my new goals for this year, I'm going to read through each verse of, I'm going to go verse by verse through Proverbs, read through each verse, and I'm going to read through the New Testament. So these new goals, if I miss one day, I can make up for it. Proverbs, I should be able to, if I read through 2 verses a day, I should be able to get through the whole thing in a year. And then I haven't really planned out the New Testament one, but I should be able to make that up as I go. If I'm right now, I'm just doing a chapter a month and just going through the whole New Testament. Now, if I miss a day of reading Proverbs, I can make up for it. I can do 4 verses a day in order to get through the whole thing in a year. And if I'm going through the New Testament and I realize that I'm not going to be able to finish the whole thing in a year, once again, I can just double up and I can make up for this failure. I can make up for it if there's a failure. So we'll move on to the intellectual goals. So in 2017, I didn't set any goals intellectual. I just said read, and I didn't know what I wanted to read. Later on in October, I set a goal to read 20 minutes every weekday, and that goal didn't work out. So that was a big problem. I didn't set any goals. My new goal is to spend a certain number of hours reading educational books and videos. So once again, this is a goal that if I miss a day, what it comes out to here, it's 3.5 hours a week of reading educational videos or watching reading educational books or watching educational videos. So that's about a half hour a day. Now, if I miss a day, I can make up for it. And also this number, the 157, let's see. Yeah, so it's 3.5 hours a week. And this number here, the 157, that factors in taking 1 week off per quarter and an entire month off. So once again, it factors in taking breaks. So maybe I don't want to spend every single day or every single week reading. Maybe I want to take a week off for vacation and I don't want to read for that week. I can do that if I want, or I can just read through vacation and I'll exceed my goal. And so that's a really great psychological boost and a really great way to reach your goals. So let's see. Physical goals, just, last year was just every morning do something to get my blood moving. Once again, same thing. I set an annual goal for every day. This is an objective that I set: work out more frequently and intensely. And, so my new goal is to work out 144 days. So it factors in for time off. It's a very flexible goal. One of my problems with my goal for this year is it's still not defined enough. So I'm going to work on that in quarterly and monthly and weekly goals. I'm going to make it more defined, but I'm just setting that for right now. I'm not very good with the area of fitness. That's an area I need to work on, but baby steps. I'm starting out with a smaller goal this year. So let's see. So this would be my occupational goals for 2017. One of my goals was to leave a job that I hated by the end of March. And I was also trying to start my own business by the end of March. The idea was to have my own business up and running so that it could replace the income I was getting from my job. And it failed miserably. This goal failed miserably because I didn't know how to achieve that goal. I didn't know how to get it done. No, I didn't know the steps necessary to start that business. So I did wind up leaving the job that I was at and moving to another job. So that was good, but I still didn't get it done in the time that I was looking to finish it. So another goal. Let me see, not specific enough. So limit YouTube to breakfast and lunch. I was just having this problem where I would watch YouTube all the time. I think this is a goal that I set a little later in the year, and I still failed it. But I was going to limit YouTube and social media to just breakfast and lunch, and I just was not able to keep that up. And the same thing with social media. I was trying to do 5 minutes per hour, and that was just like, there was no way to keep that up. So these goals were not specific enough. And some goals like these are just better to try for a shorter period of time. That's what I wound up doing. It just would have been better to try it for a week rather than making it an annual goal. And later on, I just started keeping track of the time that I spent on YouTube and other social media, and I just kept trying to shorten that time. Those were weekly goals for later in the year, for the month of, like, it was October through December, and I was really successful at that. And this final goal, a weekly movie night, just trying to tell myself to sit down and relax sometimes. This goal just was not important, and so I just didn't keep up with it. Social goals. Let me see. You just gotta do, some of your goals just have to be a little more than what you're already doing. My social goals this year are pretty basic. Spend time with family every week. Just, that's pretty basic. Do something with family every week. That's something I already do. And the same thing with friends. Spend time with friends every week. I think I put in parentheses somewhere, just don't be a hermit. Yeah, don't be a hermit, right there. And then another thing, once a month, spend one-on-one time with a friend or family member every month. And I'm introverted, so I prefer one-on-one time to group settings. So this is a goal for me to set out to really do that. So let's move to financial goals. This is the closest that I got to reaching an annual goal for 2017. There were a couple. So my goal was to give away, for every paycheck, give away 10% to the church or some other charity, and save 10%. Every paycheck. The problem being, oh yeah, so the one thing that I didn't do, the saving 10%, there were 2 months where I couldn't save a full 10% of my paycheck, which is really dismal. This year, my goal is simply to gross a certain amount. And then I also have this note here, that ideally I'm not going to give you the certain amount that I'm trying to gross, but ideally I'd like to gross 2 times more than that amount. I'm going to work towards this ideal, and this ideal might be a goal for future quarters. So there you go. That's it. Let's see. So stop the screen sharing. There we go. There I am. So those are my goals for 2018 and how they compare to my goals from 2017. And I hope you guys can learn from my mistakes and use those to help you make better goals in the new year. I don't want you guys to go down that slippery slope that I did, because it leads to a lot of depression and just, you just feel like a failure, so you give up. And I think that's the same thing that happens with New Year's resolutions. When people set these vague resolutions, they, they set them so vague and not specific enough, and then they just give up. So psychology is half the battle. If you guys like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Like our page on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube. I'm going to keep links to our Patreon or GoFundMe below. Of course, those will be changing soon because Frank Talks is changing. We're making new plans and all kinds of different things. You can also follow me on Twitter if you're on Twitter, and I'll try and keep the link for that in the description. All right, thanks. Oh, no.